Comic books are full of insane nonsense powers. We know that being oversaturated with gamma rays will not make you into the Hulk. It's also probably safe to say that being bitten by a radioactive spider is probably very similar to getting bitten by a regular spider and then being exposed to a very little bit of radioactive material. Even knowing all this, we, as comic book fans, still just don't care. Comic books are the fun kind of nonsense, like patriotism or marriage. We don't need logical explanations for every single little illogical concept written into a comic book. However, for some reason, comics have occasionally gone out of their way to explain things that no one wanted explained. Worse yet, the justifications are sometimes even more unbelievable and stupid than the power they're trying to rationalize. So without further ado, here are some stupid explanations for powers. The Joker. If I'm going to have a past, I prefer it be multiple choice. Well, there is a new choice, and that one is definitely none of the above. That quote is lifted right out of something that most Joker fans have accepted as the actual origin of the Clown Prince of Crime. And since that legendary Alan Moore story, DC has felt the need to replace that origin with something more akin to the character himself, and by that I mean something that's more of a complete and total joke. Now, the Joker has a history of coming back over and over again from seemingly unsurvivable circumstances. This was due to the fact that the character was originally meant to be killed off. Back then, the idea of Batman having reoccurring villains was feared to make him look inept, therefore they want to kill him off. Anyway, Whitney Ellsworth, the series editor, saw the homicidal clown as a great character and wanted the Joker to stick around. Thus began the Joker's career of returning like nothing ever happened after he was last seen in a situation that no one could survive from. And then DC just up and decided one day that this needed to be explained for some reason after all these decades. Recently, the characters of Ra's al Ghul and Vandal Savage, two immortals, have had their origins tied together, which does make sense. What doesn't make sense is that the Joker has also had his origins tied together with them. Now that is completely absurd. I mean, which of these three does not belong? Apparently, the Joker is also an immortal who keeps coming back because he came in contact with the same magic meteorite as Savage. The Joker's unexplained returns are not an aspect of the character that anyone wanted. Plus, if he is invulnerable like Vandal Savage and Ra's al Ghul, how did he get those scars? Furthermore, even though Ra's al Ghul is a Batman villain, the Joker is the arch enemy. The dynamic of the two has been so perfect over the years, and much of that was based around the fact that the two of them are mortal. And to make matters worse, they've also decided to tell everyone that there's actually been 3 Jokers the whole time. This whole situation just throws a monkey wrench into the work to try and clarify something that everybody was fine with. Cyclops. Cyclops' eyes have been said to be an interdimensional aperture between this universe and another non-Einsteinian universe where the laws of physics as we know them do not pertain. This Einsteinian universe is filled with particles that resemble photons, yet they interact with this universe's particles by transferring kinetic energy in the form of gravitons. Alright, seriously, do I need to say any more? The guy has laser eyes. End of story. He was just born like that and he shoots laser beams out of his eyes. I don't need to know that his eyes are a portal to a fictional dimension with its own laws of physics, and how does this even give any clarity to the flawed science of laser eyes? If anything, this just begs more questions. Why are his eyes of all things portals? Why do they still work as regular eyes? Where is this energy dimension? And why is this dimension held at bay by sunglasses? Wolverine. Len Wein originally planned for Logan's origins to be decidedly animalistic in nature, as the invulnerable figure was conceived as a mutated Wolverine that forcefully evolved into humanoid form. Oh yeah, I could totally see how evolving from an actual Wolverine is way more intelligent than humans evolving into mutants. Mutant is the end-all simplest origin story of all. Stan Lee hit the nail on the head when he said, just forget complex origins, and instead said that they were simply born that way. Why do we have to overcomplicate it? Now, if the Super Mario Bros. Movie has taught us anything, it's that saying some other animals just happen to evolve into a humanoid shape is always stupid and franchise suicide. Monsieur Mala, Ultra Humanite, Gorilla Grodd, all super smart talking gorillas. Gorilla Grodd comes from Gorilla City, a city of intelligent apes. The most absurd part is, Monsieur Mala and Ultra Humanite don't come from there. Now, DC did this because when they started putting gorillas on the covers of comic books, they just happened to sell better. So therefore, DC just started pumping out more and more smart gorillas. However, my problem with this isn't the fact that there's so many of them, although I don't really like that either, but the fact that you have an entire gorilla city. Why did you keep coming up with more origins for them? Why couldn't they all just come from the same gorilla city? Wouldn't you just made life a lot easier? And plus, with all the characters that have fallen fallen off over the years. Why can't we just let some of these go? Do we really need this many? Is it really that smart of an idea by today's day and age? Nightcrawler. Teleporting, a power that is used by characters from Dawson all the way to that kid in Jumper, presumably. I don't know because I've never seen that stupid movie. Anyway, it's a great power and we accept that it works. Somewhere along the way, Marvel came up with the plan that Nightcrawler actually teleports from our world into an alternate dimension before reappearing at his target destination. So let me get this straight. To justify teleporting across the room, you decide to have him teleport to a different dimension and then to the other side of the room. Thanks for the clarity, guys. Teleporting seems to be way less stupid now. Glad that nonsense was cleared up. The Flash. All the speedsters in the DC universe have the ability to tap into the Speed Force. The Speed Force is some vaguely defined thing that allows some people to go really fast. Now that's like saying when Buzz Lightyear is falling with style, he's actually tapping into the gravity force. However, the difference is that gravity is an actual force, where speed isn't a force, it's an extension of gravity. They are not both forces of the universe. The strongest thing they have in common is the fact that they're both the names of Sandra Bullock movies. And finally, Superman. Oh boy, this is a big one. Superman has had his fair share of writers attempting to explain any one of his many powers, all of which make less sense than it being simple alien magic. Now to be fair, a lot of these just end up getting retconned, but here are just a few. First, his power of flight. It has been attempted to clarify Superman's flying by saying that Krypton is much larger than Earth and therefore has much higher gravity. Therefore, any species that comes from Krypton must have a higher resistance to gravity here on Earth. However, this would only explain him being lighter on his feet and jumping really far. Also, this would only make sense if he grew up on Krypton and then came here. Actual flying, actual levitating, and hovering around would not be possible under these conditions. Next up, why doesn't anyone recognize that he's Clark Kent? Sure, there have been plenty of explanations for this, but some of the dumbest have to be the fact that he has secret hypnotic powers that are enhanced by Clark's glasses to make people think that he looks completely different. Problem is that anytime he was photographed or approached from behind, the hypnotic stare wouldn't actually work. Now would it? As far as I'm concerned, the Clark Kent disguise is a prime example of suspension of disbelief. Sure, it may be stupid, but we've all learned to live with it. So either just go ahead and give him shape-shifting powers, or just let it go. Well, there you go. There's my list of really weird justifications for superpowers. What did you think? Tell me down in the comments of any I missed, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks again for watching, and this has been Dave Knows.